Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 7th of January. For vast majority of Orthodox Christians, it's Christmas today, so happy Christmas to everybody who celebrates this holiday today. Now it's 25 to 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon during the live stream. As I mentioned in my previous update, to maintain high level of engagement with our community, I decided to resume Sunday live streams, especially because as a result of increase in number of updates, daily updates, I'm not as engaged in the comment sections as I used to be in previous times. So this live stream will be a good opportunity to not just stay in touch but to exchange opinion in real time and to maintain this high level of engagement. And after live stream, towards the evening, this evening I will have next episode of Telegram reports, which is exclusively made for my Rumble channel in attempt to generate additional interest among members of our community towards this channel. And if you are watching this video on YouTube, please consider to join our community on Rumble. Also, you can see links under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. I remind you, dear friends, that on YouTube my channel is not monetized and will never be monetized, while on Rumble my channel is monetized. And if our community will grow in number, and if views on my videos on Rumble will increase significantly, then who knows, sometime in the future, in 6, 8, 10 months time, maybe Rumble will become a significant source of financial support for this project. So it is important to me and for this project to further develop this channel on Rumble. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. About an hour ago this morning, I did a report on my Telegram. If you are not subscribed to Telegram channel, please do so. It's a useful addition to video channels. You can see a link also under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. And according to reports from a number of sources, last night or early hours today, Russian armed forces launched missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Zelensky's regime in Dnipropetrovsk, Nikolaev, Kirovograd, Odessa, Khmelnytsky, Kherson, Vinnytsia, and Zhytomyr regions. During the day, Russian Defense Ministry probably will provide public with additional information about these strikes, and of course I will share information on my Telegram and next updates. When it comes to line of contact, according to reports from Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line. On in Kherson direction, main hotspot is still Krinky settlement, central part of this village, where Kiev regime is still maintaining this small foothold and continuing to send more and more Ukrainian units in suicidal operations towards left bank of the Dnieper River. At this point, even the Western media become somewhat critical of this so-called Kherson counteroffensive. Ukrainian channels are beginning to ask questions why Kiev regime is not withdrawing forces from Krinky area, because it's obvious for everybody that entire this operation did fail miserably. But I guess Zelensky and his criminal associates care only about media perspective, and if they began this Kherson operation to gain some media attention, especially from Western media, then now, as I understand, they don't want to end this suicidal operation exactly because they don't want to see high level of criticism of Kiev regime once again because of the failed Kherson offensive. For whatever reason, Zelensky continues to sacrifice Ukrainian military personnel in Kherson direction without having even a slight chance to achieve anything whatsoever. Situation is under full Russian control. Left bank of Kherson region always was a trap for Ukrainian armed forces. I was talking about it even before this so-called counteroffensive of Ukrainian armed forces began, and I was correct. I don't think anybody will argue with me that it was a trap, and still is a trap. Situation is under full Russian control, and initiative also. When it comes to Zaporizhia and SOVA DONET sector of the front line, main hotspots are, of course, in Zaporizhia sector, Orekhov bridgehead, more precisely villages, areas in between villages of Rabotina and Verbovo. Russian forces increasing pressure on Ukrainian armed forces, Ukrainian units in this area, and I guess it's only a matter of time when gradually Ukrainian armed forces will begin withdrawal from Orekhov bridgehead, because they cannot sustain losses, they cannot maintain current positions because of this increased pressure from Russian armed forces, and most importantly, they are unable to conduct or have even a hope for any more or less successful offensive operations. Therefore, it does make no sense to maintain high level of forces, troops in this area, and to continue fighting for this irrelevant, basically, at this point, totally irrelevant bridgehead. When it comes to SOVA DONET sector of the front line, main hotspots are, of course, Vremevsky salient and Novomikhailivka village. When it comes to Vremevsky salient, according to Russian channels, Russian armed forces conducted local-scale offensive operations in direction of Urozhaina, and the Russian artillery and missile forces struck points of concentration of Ukrainian armed forces in this village. Many channels are reporting for a while now that situation for Ukrainian units are so difficult in Staromayorskaya, Urozhaina settlements that they may withdraw at any point, at any time. But for now, these settlements are still in the gray zone, one may say. And when it comes to Novomikhailivka area, this settlement basically is totally destroyed at this point because of this high level of intensity of clashes. Russian forces pounding Ukrainian units with missile strikes, drone strikes, artillery strikes. It's hard to tell how long Ukrainian units will maintain their positions in this village under this high pressure, but I would not be surprised if before end of next week Novomikhailivka will become under full Russian control. Of course, initiative on both sectors in Zaporizhia and SOVA DONET sector, initiative is in Russian hands. When it comes to Donetsk direction, main hotspots are, of course, Avdiivka area and the flanks of Bakhmut. When it comes to Avdiivka, Russian forces are conducting successful offensive operations, local-scale offensive operations on the northern-western flank of Avdiivka in direction of Ocheretina, and according to some channels, Russian units began offensive operations in direction of Stepova and Berdichi settlements. Also, reckoning force operations have been conducted by Russian units in the northern industrial zone of Avdiivka, where a chemical plant is located, and forward units did begin operations even in northern, according to some reports, in the northern residential area, although I did not see any video or photo confirmation of that. And when it comes to southern part of Avdiivka, no significant changes. Russian forces increasing pressure on Ukrainian units and are conducting operations in southern residential area. Avdiivka is still controlled by Ukrainian units, and well, if you remember, I was expecting to see big Ukrainian units to surrender in Avdiivka on the scale of battalions, and I'm still maintaining this position that sometime in the future garrison of Avdiivka will collapse and we will see big number of Ukrainian military personnel surrender. When it comes to Bakhmut flanks, Russian forces increasing pressure on both flanks, on the northern flank and southern flank, although at this point we did not receive any reports on breakthroughs. So it's local scale skirmishes. And when it comes to northern sectors of the front line, main hotspots are, of course, on the southern flank of Seversk, Veselaya and Razdolovka settlements. These villages probably will become hotspots in upcoming weeks. On the northern flank of Seversk, of course, main hotspots are Yampolovka, Terny settlements, and if Russian forces continue to increase pressure on Ukrainian units in this area, I guess it will be inevitable for Ukrainian units to withdraw from these settlements and try to establish new defense line on the right bank of Zherebets River. And when it comes to Kupiansk direction, main hotspot is, of course, Sinkovka village. If you remember, about 2-3 weeks ago, Russian forces were conducting operations to establish control over the Sinkovka. Then Russian forces withdraw in direction of Liman Pervy. Ukrainian units, Kiev regime sent additional forces in Sinkovka area, and well, as I predicted, exactly then Russian forces began pounding this settlement with the artillery, with the missiles, drones. It's hell on earth now in Sinkovka, and I guess Ukrainian units lost in last several days in Sinkovka area more military personnel than during the clashes in previous several weeks. I guess after several days of this artillery and missile strikes on Sinkovka, Russian units will begin another wave of offensive in direction of this village, and most likely will establish control over this settlement. Although Russian units may have some other ideas, because they are using now Sinkovka as a kind of magnet for Kiev regime. They are forcing basically Kiev regime to send more and more reinforcements in direction of Sinkovka, and this is good opportunity for Russian long-range artillery and missile forces to neutralize Ukrainian units without even getting in the close range combat. So maybe Sinkovka will be used as a kind of trap or magnet for some time in the future. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Mainly, in my understanding, operational pause is holding, because we are not seeing any large-scale operations on the line of contact, and well, who knows how long this operational pause will continue. I was expecting, and still expecting, that before end of January, first half of February, Russian armed forces may begin large-scale offensive operations, but there was high expectations of Russian winter offensive last year also, but it did not happen. Russian side continue its operations with this mobile defense strategy, and who knows, maybe very same will happen this winter also. Let's wait and see. When it comes to additional news, RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian air defense systems shut down 6 Ukrainian Neptune anti-ship missiles over the Black Sea. As I understand, the Kiev regime is trying to launch long-range missiles, not just in direction of Crimea, but also in direction of Novorossiysk and surrounding cities on the Russian Black Sea coast, where Black Sea Fleet is located right now. Although all attempts of Kiev regime to launch missiles towards Novorossiysk by bypassing Sevastopol failed, all missiles have been intercepted, although several Russian military channels are reporting that Kiev regime now most likely are trying to overwhelm Russian air defense systems, and in upcoming days a large-scale missile strike, combined missile and drone strikes may take place, not just in the direction of Crimea, but also in the direction of Novorossiysk and nearby cities. And well, if Russian military channels are expecting this kind of development, I guess Russian Defense Ministry is also working on such a possibility, and I believe Russian air defense systems will be ready to deal with any additional threat from Kiev regime. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that according to Spectator, according to Spectator, I almost dropped my microphone here. So according to Spectator, because of the failed Ukrainian counteroffensive and low level of probability that Ukrainian armed forces will be able to conduct any more or less successful operation on the line of contact, Western ruling elites don't really have any options other than push narrative of freezing this conflict on the current line of contact. Yet again, Western media is articulating with the narrative of stalemate on the front line, although maybe it is a stalemate for Kiev regime, maybe it's a stalemate for Western ruling class. They cannot achieve any success on the line of contact, but it's definitely not a stalemate for Russian forces. After all, dear friends, I remind you that even these times when it's operational pause on the line of contact and no large-scale operations have been conducted, even nowadays, weekly losses of Ukrainian army is mounting to 4,000 or 5,000 military personnel every single week, which is a full-blooded brigade. One brigade by NATO standards, by Russian standards, is about 5,000 military personnel. So Kiev regime is losing about brigade every single week. So it's definitely not a stalemate for Russian side, because this Russian strategy of mobile defense quite allows Russian forces to demilitarize significant number of military units of Kiev regime. Maybe Western ruling elites want to freeze this conflict on the current line of contact, but I don't think Moscow will even consider this type of development to freeze this conflict. It's not happening. RIA Novosti is reporting, as I said many times before, including a few minutes ago today, Russian armed forces will maintain current strategy of mobile defense, and once Ukrainian defense lines will begin to crack, will begin to collapse, then most likely we will see large-scale Russian offensive operations. And therefore, I don't see any reason why Moscow will consider current situation on the front line as a stalemate. Not for Russia. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Denmark made a decision to postpone its deliveries of F16s to Kiev regime at least for half a year. Unexpected news, let's say, and this information was reported by, I guess, local newspaper in Denmark, Berlingske, which is reporting about this on base of its sources in Ministry of Defense of Denmark. So interesting news. Hard to tell what make Danish government or Danish Defense Ministry to change its plans or on deliveries of F-16s, especially since we all know that Netherlands already began deliveries of F-16s, transfer of F-16s at this point on neighboring countries with Ukraine, in Romania, if I'm not mistaken. But well, who knows? Maybe some of those F-16s already are in Ukraine. But Denmark, for whatever reason, made decision to postpone its deliveries. Interesting. Of course, even if all promised F-16s will be delivered to Kiev regime, they will change nothing on the front line. They're not gonna be some wonder weapons. They're not gonna be some crucial successes on part of Kiev regime. No, outcome of this conflict not gonna change. Russian side already defeated already defeated the ruling class of the West and their proxy regime in Kiev. Now only formalization of this is left, but still interesting that Denmark, for whatever reason, made decision to postpone deliveries of these fighter jets. Well, while Denmark is somewhat de-escalating, Germany does exactly the opposite. German leadership does exactly the opposite, and we have reports here that formally opposition parties in Germany are demanding now from government Scholz to send Taurus long-range cruise missiles to Kiev regime, so that Zelensky and his criminal associates will have opportunity to strike deep inside Russian territory. And one of these so-called opposition parties that are demanding Taurus missiles to be sent to Kiev regime is the Green Party. There was a time like 20-30 years ago when Greens were considered as a party for peace, but nowadays they are as bloodthirsty as US neocons. And it has a I mean, we can clearly know why. It's easy to explain why Greens are acting this way. After all green movement in Europe was created by CIA. All green movement in Europe, all green parties, directly or indirectly, are controlled by CIA. And if you take that in account, well, then you're not going to be surprised that German Greens are demanding further military escalation with Russia. Because they are CIA assets, man. They do what they are told to do from Langley. That's it. And I remind you that Baerbock, foreign minister of Germany, is a representative of Green Party. And Greens are part of current ruling coalition in Germany. But anyway, it's last several days there were too much talks about Taurus missiles, and I guess Langley already made decision, or Washington, and it's only a matter of days now probably, and Scholz will make statement that they are beginning to deliver Taurus missiles to Kiev regime. It will be significant escalation, of course, of this conflict, significant escalation in relationships between Russia and Germany, and unfortunately, because of the actions of current German leadership, relationships between two countries are, I mean, I don't even know if relationships between two countries will recover after this. I just don't know. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Ukrainians are tired of state propaganda on TV, according to New York Times, by the way, which is quite interesting. So let me read several sentences here. Ukrainian viewers are turning away from telemarathon United News, around-the-clock multi-channel broadcast set up as a single source of televised information about the conflict with Russia, because it has turned into little more than a mouthpiece for the government, the New York Times has reported. Telemarathon United News was created on the order of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and gets 40% its funding from the government. Opposition channels have been denied participation in the project. The broadcast has been jointly produced by Ukraine's 6 leading networks since the start of the fighting between Moscow and Kiev in early 2022. The New York Times reports this week described the 24/7 broadcast as a major tool of Ukraine's information war, which was crucial for holding the country together. But after the 2 years of conflict, Ukrainians have grown very wary of telemarathon. The paper acknowledged viewers now increasingly complain that it often paints too rosy a picture of the war, hiding worrying developments on the front line and West's eroding support for Ukraine. West's eroding support for Ukraine. Well, basically what New York Times is acknowledging is that more and more people in Ukraine, despite heavy propaganda, are beginning to ask questions, because they are told that they are winning. They are 24/7 told that they are winning, and in 2 years' time, people get used to this idea that, you know, they are winning. And now some of them are beginning asking questions. If we are winning, then where is the results? I mean, where are we winning and what? And after all, many people are learning how to use proxy servers. Many people are monitoring Russian channels. Even Western media outlets become critical of Kyiv regime for last, I mean, it's highly noticeable, especially for last 2-3 months, isn't it? And therefore, questions have been raised in society, and it's a good stuff. Maybe Ukrainian society is beginning to wake up. Maybe they are beginning to wake up and realizing what Zelensky and his criminal associates and their Western masters did to them, to Ukrainian citizens, to Ukrainian society, to statehood of Ukraine. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Wall Street Journal, without Western financial aid, Kyiv regime will be forced to begin printing its money, which will eventually play a devastating role for Ukraine's economy. Well, no surprises here, because as I reported many times before, millions of people in Ukraine are receiving salaries and pensions from Western financial aid. Kyiv regime on its own is unable to pay salaries and pensions, and if US will drop its financial support, if EU member states one by one will begin dropping their financial support for Kyiv regime, then it will only take several months, and system in Ukraine and state institutions will begin to collapse, exactly because there will be no money to pay salaries. And even if Kyiv regime will begin printing hryvnias, their local currencies, it will not take long before hyperinflation will hit Ukraine. And I don't think this is a way to escape financial crisis for Kyiv regime. They can print money for sure, but by doing so, they will basically provoke hyperinflation and devaluation of hryvnia itself, Ukrainian currency. So this is not, it will not help Kyiv regime in any ways. But let's see if Washington and Brussels and other Western capitals will drop financial support. At this point, we know that Congress in upcoming days will renew discussions about Biden's initiative on financial aid for Ukraine, combined aid for Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan, in which 61 billion is supposed to be allocated for Kyiv regime. And well, let's see what Congress will do in the US. If they will continue, if they will approve this aid, then I guess European states will follow suit. But if Washington will further prolong allocation of this 60 billion for Kyiv regime, then well, Zelensky is in trouble, because European states also are losing appetite to send more and more billions of their taxpayers to Kyiv. Anyway, let's see what will happen. But it's Ukrainian economy is definitely is in trouble, and well, Western media outlets are acknowledging this. RT is reporting that Iraq wants to boot out US troops. This is quite interesting. Baghdad accused Washington of breaching its sovereignty with yet another assassination, another assassination that was conducted by US forces in Iraq, in suburbs of Baghdad a few days ago, and one of the commanders of Iraqi units were killed. And well, I don't know a level of independence of Iraqi government from Washington, from CIA, but well, it's you know, let's see, maybe they will succeed. They may succeed to force US troops out of Iraq. Anyway, let's read several sentences. Prime Minister of Iraq, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, has promised to launch a process to expel the international coalition forces from Iraq after US airstrike killed high-ranking militia commander in Baghdad almost exactly 4 years after assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. So, well, I'm kind of skeptical that current leadership of Iraq is independent of Washington and are capable acting independently. But let's see. People of Iraq definitely are in favor to force out US led coalition troops from their country, but let's see what will government do despite the promises. TASS news agency is also reporting that China will impose sanctions on 5 US companies that are providing with weapons Taiwan. Interesting steps. Sanctions will be imposed on BAE Systems, which is a giant company in military-industrial complex. Also, Alliant Tech System Operations, AeroVironment, Viasat, and Data Link Solutions. Well, from these ones, well, BAE Systems are probably biggest company, and well, I don't know how Chinese sanctions will impact these companies, but well, I guess sanctions war are escalating in between US and China also. RIA Novosti is reporting that after US avia companies, European avia companies also made decision to ground all their fleet of Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes because just a few days ago, yesterday or day before yesterday, Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, Canadian Airlines Boeing 737 experienced significant technical issues. Window was blown out from the plane during the mid-flight, which is a well significant issue, of course. Maybe some error in construction of these planes. Who knows what caused this incident? But well, entire fleet of Boeing 737s will be grounded now, and well, this is gonna be another reputational catastrophe for Boeing. That's for sure. And if you noticed, Boeing constantly has some troubles with safety of its planes, isn't it? It's I don't know what's going on with this company, but Boeing planes no longer can be seen as a safe ones, really. I mean, too many accidents with the Boeing planes, just too many. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that EU state reports record number of corporate bankruptcies, and this time we're talking about France. Over 55,000 French businesses closed their doors in 2023. The Bank of France reported, which is a record number since 2017. Well, of course, unfortunate information for France, for French society, because I guess vast majority of these 55,000 companies are family-held companies, small businesses, small and medium businesses, and well, because of the policies of French government, well, these businesses are shut down now, and thousands and tens of thousands of jobs, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs, are lost. Entire European economy is in decline. Entire European economy is in decline, and it's noticeable, especially in the major economies like France, Germany, and United Kingdom. Although UK is no longer part of EU, but it's still part of Europe, isn't it? So once these major economies are experiencing difficulties, of course, smaller economies will also gonna feel increased pressure. And this is gonna be last news for today's update. RT is reporting that Russian officials reveal 2024 economic growth forecast. According to Central Bank, RIA Novosti conducted interview with the officials in the Central Bank, and according to their forecast, gross domestic product is expected to see a moderate increase in 2024, just 1.6%, compared to the previous projection of 3.5%. So as I reported a few days ago, Russian economy is expected to slow down a little bit in 2024, and if previously forecast for this year, for 24, was 3.5% GDP growth, then now Central Bank is more skeptical, more conservative in its estimations, and most likely Russian economy will grow only 1.6%. Let's see. After all, because of this more than 18,000 Western sanctions and immense pressure on Russian economy, if GDP will grow even 1%, it's achievement. So it's all good. And this is it for now. Economy is adapting to new realities, and it may take a year or two, and then I guess Russian economy will go on high growth rate. Once new means of communication, new means of trade, new routes of trade will be fully developed between Russia and the rest of the world outside of West. And this is it for now. I hope you will find this update interesting, and if so, please consider to click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and share video with your friends. It will definitely help to develop these channels on both platforms, YouTube and Rumble, little bit faster. And if you think this channel, this project with several channels, is informative, useful, has some potential, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. I remind you, dear friends, that about 5 o'clock this afternoon Moscow time, I will have a live stream, so I hope you will join the conversation. Have a great day. Once again, Happy Christmas to all Orthodox Christians who celebrate this holiday today. Take care and see you soon.